So hi everyone, thank you so much for joining us for TransferCon 2020. Today's workshop will be applying to CSU for spring 2021, and we appreciate you all for being here with us. So the purpose and intention of this workshop is to provide students with support and the confidence needed to work on the application of Cal State Apply. So with that being said, if you don't follow us on Instagram yet, definitely follow us. Our Instagram name is LAHC Transfer Center, and that is where we provide information for students all about transfer. So to get started, I will be introducing myself. My name is Natalie Parra, and I'm a counselor at the Los Angeles Harbor College Transfer Center. I love helping students with the transfer process. To be a student of the Transfer Center means that we have a relationship with our students from when they begin asking questions about transfer until they are at the university. So we guide our students through which courses to take, how to prepare for transfer, major exploration, university exploration, application process, next steps to transfer, and we try to make it as supportive and conducive to student success as possible and transfer success overall. So I welcome you. I'd also like to introduce Ms. Patsy Morales Gonzalez, who is one of our other counselors. Patsy?
So yeah, hi everyone. My name is Patsy. I'm one of the STEM counselors, but fortunately, I have been able to be trained with the Transfer Center and be able to help you with all of this. I also was a student from LA Harbor College and went through the transfer process. And honestly, it gets a little hectic, and I should have asked for help earlier rather than last minute. So I'm really proud of all of you and excited that you're here earlier rather than later. So we look forward to starting the presentation to help you better understand what it takes to apply to the Cal States for the spring semester. I know that some of you are applying for the spring. For those who are looking into the fall, the same information will pop up in the fall semester. So make sure that you're writing notes, or you have any questions, feel free to put them on the chat.
Thank you so much, Patsy. And like I said, we're here for you and we are ready to help you on your own journey for transfer. So let's go ahead and get started with the Cal State application. So when to apply? So for students who want to be enrolled in the Cal States for fall 2021 next year, you are going to apply October 1st to November 30th. Students who want to start in the winter, apply June 1st to June 30th. And for students who go for spring 2021, we're applying right now, August 1st to 31st. The application fee is $70 for each CSU campus. And if you qualify for the application fee waiver, you can apply for up to 4 CSU campuses for free. Now, when you qualify for the fee waiver, you do not have to, it does not make it where you only get, some students get 1 free application, others get 2, others get 3. No, everyone gets 4. So it is in your best interest to look at 4 campuses at least and get started with which ones interest you. We also encourage our students to apply broadly to increase your chances of admission. What we mean by apply broadly, if you want to try some NorCal schools, local campuses, if you want to do a mix of impacted and non-impacted campuses, just so that way you have many options once it's time to make your final decision in the spring. We definitely encourage that for our students. Now, the first section of this workshop, Patsy is going to be covering the beginning. The second half of this workshop, I will be covering the transcript entry and other needs of the application. Patsy?
Thank you. So are you eligible to apply? So we get a lot of students who are like, I'm about to graduate. I know I've done my classes. And that's great that you feel ready and prepared to apply. But there are a couple of things that you need to have before you start the application. One of the first things is having 60 CSU transferable units. That means looking into your transcripts. So you do have access to your unofficial transcripts. And what you can do is look over your transcripts and check that every class next to it has CSU/UC or CSU on it. That way you can count up to 60 units. The next thing is to have your golden 4 courses completed with a grade C or better. That means your oral communication, which could be communications 101 or 121, your written communication, your English 101, critical thinking, English 102, 103, or philosophy 6. And then you have to have transfer level math, meaning your math 227, stats 1, or math 265. There are other options, but again, these are a few of the ones that we're putting on here. You should also have a minimum of a 2.0 grade point average, and also have 30 units of general education with the C minus or higher. So again, if you are like, I don't know if I have this, or I want to double check if I'm qualified, make sure to make an appointment with a transfer counselor, and we'll go over that a little bit later. So what are some documents you're going to need before you start the application process? So to complete the application, you will need the following. You need unofficial transcripts from every college and university you have attended. So we do have students who are like, oh, I went to El Camino, I went to Harper, I went to Long Beach City College, and that's great. Wherever you had to take your classes, you did that. But make sure you have a copy of your unofficial transcripts from all of those campuses. If you went to our sister campuses, meaning like LA City College, Trade Tech, West LA, East LA, all of those should pop up in your unofficial LA Harbor College transcript. So again, make sure that you're looking over all of that information. You're also going to need a social security number if you have one. If you don't, we do have services at LA Harbor College that will help you go over that specific part of the application. Also, your citizenship status. Again, we don't want you to feel like you can't apply because it's going to ask you for your status. Again, we're here to help you get through that. Also, know your annual income. That means if you don't have taxes, you're going to need to know, have your parent or the head person who does taxes for your household, you're going to need that information. The reason why that information is important is to determine if you're going to get the fee waiver, meaning the 4 free applications. So again, if you need help with that, feel free to stay after and ask us. For your parents, if you're a dependent, for yourself, if you're independent. Also, you need a method of payment. Again, you do get 4 free applications if you qualify, but say you're like, hey, I want to apply to 6 or 7 of them. Know that you still need a credit card or a PayPal account if you want to pay for the rest of them. So then EOP applicants. If you've been part of the LA Harbor College EOP&S program, it's about the similar. It gives you extra resources and guidance on how to better transition to the new university. For the EOP applications, you're going to need your parents' employment background and information, and also 2 letters of recommendation. I know Natalie can agree that sometimes during the transfer season, we get students who are like, can you please write a letter for me or be my letter of recommendation? Please start thinking that ahead of time, because it does take time to create those recommendations, but you should also go to your EOP&S counselor, your employer, or get to know us a little bit before so we can really answer truthfully to these recommendations.
Thank you, Patsy. Yes, I definitely agree with that. We would love to write those letters of recommendation for you. And we also do want to get to know you. So you are so welcome to be in touch with us and say, you know, I need some help. You know, Patsy and I were glad to go ahead and give you some ideas of who you can ask for a letter of recommendation. And, you know, I personally appreciate it too when my students provide, if they ask me to be their recommender, their phone number and contact information so I can give them a call, ask them what they would like for me to share as well. And then I also want to give a shout out to all of our students on Instagram right now. We have so many students joining us on Instagram Live. So thank you very much for joining us on IG. We appreciate you. And this is TransferCon 2020. Go ahead.
So how to get started. The first thing you want to do is visit this website. I just say calstate.edu/apply. So basically when you get on here, you're gonna see the picture, and that's the first thing you're gonna see on the website. And then if we go on to the next slide, you're gonna see a little bit more of it. Now on this website, there's very important information. If you click on the first one where it says see application dates and deadlines, go ahead and click on that to get more information of like when you need to submit specific transcripts and all of that. Then the next one says, to determine the exact deadline for your desired program, please visit the application dates and deadlines page. So again, more resources on learning what campuses are open for the spring and for the future for the fall. And then it says, refer to the applicant help center for additional questions or information that you have about the application. So again, that help center has even helped us as counselors. So we really highly encourage you as a student to use that. For this example, when you go on the website, you get to put which semester you want to apply or which term. For this example, we're saying spring 2021, and then we would click apply. It is very important that you click on the correct term because then we don't want to recreate a new account or try to fix it. It takes a long time. So make sure if you're applying for this spring, click on spring 2021. If you're going to apply for fall, make sure that you apply for fall. And then you go ahead and click apply. So then when you click on that apply button, you're going to come into this new window where you create an account or log in. So basically you want to go on there and you're going to see these little squares. You want to make sure that you go on where it says create an account if you haven't made one before. So example, we have students who are like, I made one in high school. Can I still use the same one? We always encourage you to start a new one or just create a specific email address that you want associated with all of your application stuff. So there are some important icons once you get into that section. You're going to see this little question mark with the blue circle. It says click on the question mark to send an email or access instructions and FAQs, including chat function. So again, this question mark is gonna help you understand a lot of the things around the website. You can click on the bell to view important messages and notifications regarding your application. Sometimes some students don't see this or don't really pay much attention to it. But again, it's really important that anytime you notice something change, that you give it attention because it's the Cal State application webpage that's trying to tell you, hey, this is important, it's an alert, right? Then you also want to include your ID number whenever you're emailing or contacting a Cal State campus with questions or updates. So for example, you're going to see this CAS ID. That's the ID that you always want to have with you when it's regarding your Cal State application. So for example, we had one time where a student sent his transcripts, but then he's like, oh no, I forgot to include my El Camino. Then he has to contact the campus, tell them the CAS ID, not their Harvard College student ID. So then this number is important for you to write down or keep for your records. Also, the system will log you out if you don't do something for a long time, or if you're typing or including your classes and not moving around. So again, make sure that when you don't just exit out, but that you really sign out the application. So you make sure everything there is correct and it gets saved without you just exiting out and then trying to lose that data. Then for creating an account, so once you're done with that, seeing that page, you're gonna see this web page, and you're gonna put in your basic information. Again, trust me when I say I've done this as a mistake. Make sure you're not rushing it and taking your time and proofreading everything, right? I have a problem with my name. Autocorrect always wants to put Patty instead of Patsy. So I always have to be careful with these formal documents, right? So make sure for your title, again, the title tends to be Mr., Mrs., Miss, but if you don't use it, you don't have to do it. You do have to do everything that's recorded in the little red star. So again, your first or given name, your middle name, last or family name, a suffix, and display name. So again, you only have to do what's on the little red stars. And then email address, confirm email address again, and your preferred phone number, again, for any updates. So be sure to enter your email address carefully to avoid issues in the future, as this is a Cal State's application's main form of contacting you. So for example, we know that we have that one favorite email account that we're like, oh, we use it for everything, right? What I always advise students is create a separate email account that it just focuses on all of your applications. Of course, right now we're focusing on the Cal States, but what if you're going to be applying to the UCs, right? Now you have eight different applications, right? So again, if you're going to use your regular email account, make sure that you're really focusing on it and looking at any Cal State Apply emails. And then you can update this section up until the application is submitted. So again, we can try and fix this, but it's always best to do it right the first time. Now this part where it says create an account, again, you can click on that first X to authorize the text and phone authorization. I always like to have it because if you need to call them, I'd rather just have everything ready to go. For your username and password, again, your username, make sure that you use something that you're gonna remember. For your password, it does have minimal requirements and you can look at those below. And then again, confirming that password. Again, write it down. Put in an email or write it down on a piece of paper or notebook that you have, because we've had instances where students are like, I forgot my password. And again, we want to make sure that you have access to this important application. So now the terms and conditions, again, you can read ahead, we can read them over, or you could just accept them. So then you agree to the terms, and then where it says European Union data protection. So again, read over, it says, are you currently located in Europe? If you are, put yes. If you're not, press no. And then again, like on the slide, it says, make sure that you write down your username and your password. So how to complete your profile. This is another, again, we're gonna keep saying, this is important, this is important. Honestly, everything is important, we wanna highlight it. But for this complete your profile, the first question that you're gonna get is, what is your degree goal, right? What degree, credential, or certificate are you applying to? You need to indicate that you'll be earning your first bachelor's degree. Again, we usually help transfer students who haven't earned a bachelor's degree. So that's what we usually advise you to put. On the next question is going to ask you, which of the following best describes your current educational status? So again, read over all of your options, but usually transfer students choose between the last two. You can either choose transferring with an associate's degree for transfer awarded by a California community college, or transferring from a community college or four-year institution. If you know what an ADT or AST is, great. Again, make sure that you talk with a Harbor College counselor or transfer center counselor to make sure if you're going to receive an AAT or an AST, because it is, if you do press on it and don't receive it, you can run into some issues. But again, if you are earning it, we want to make sure that you do click on that. And then after that, you're going to go on to the next part of the application. And then it's gonna, again, ask you what your degree goal is, first bachelor's degree. Then on here, if you have clicked transfer with an associate degree for transfer, then it's gonna ask you which community college you're receiving it from. So again, if you're receiving it from LA Harbor College, you will scroll down and put LA Harbor College. But if you're receiving it from another campus, you wanna make sure that you speak to a counselor at that other campus to make sure that you are gonna earn it by the end of the semester. For the ADT program, this is the title of your degree at LA Harbor College, not the title of your major. So we get that a lot where students are like, why can I not find my major? Why is it not the one I want to apply to? Again, this is a separate degree that you're gonna get, not necessarily your major. And then what is an associate's degree for transfer? The ADTs as we call, and then there's an AAT and an AST. And AAT, what we do have at Harbor College is for anthropology, communication studies, English, history, and you can look at the rest. So if you feel like this is one of your majors and you're like, oh, I want to double check if I am receiving this degree or how far am I from getting this degree, again, make sure that you talk to a counselor. For the ASTs, we have Administration of Justice, Business Administration, Mathematics, Early Childhood, and Physics. We will have more coming up in the future, but what we want to highlight is for these specific degrees for transfer, you do get perks, right? You get priority consideration into the Cal States, you get a 0.1 GPA boost, and other couple of things. But again, if you are interested or think that your major falls within one of these, feel free to make an appointment with a transfer counselor. And I believe Natalie wanted to add something on the ADTs for the counseling appointments. Your audio is off.
Thank you, Patsy. Sorry, I was on mute, everyone, but thank you so much for your patience. So if you think that this summer is your final semester at Harbor and you're finishing up the classes, you're welcome to meet with me, schedule an appointment so that way we can do a graduation check for you. And if need be, that it is your final term is summer, then we'll do the graduation paperwork this summer. If not, it wouldn't be a loss because what happens is as long as you're registered for the last classes you need for fall, then I could do the graduation paperwork with you for the fall degree too, and then you just hold on to it until the first day of classes in fall. Then you could turn in the graduation paperwork to admissions and records. You do want to also make sure that you're enrolled in classes too, because what you do need for your last semester is going to be what the degree evaluators are looking for when they approve your petition to graduate. And of course, you also want to make sure that excuse me, that when you make the appointment with me, that you also take into consideration where it is that you want to transfer to. So we can look up the degree being deemed similar and make sure that you have all the classes that you need.
Awesome. So I know that I'm seeing more and more questions on the chat. We will go over them, I promise, over the Q&A. So again, feel free to keep on putting them on there and we will address them towards the end. So what happens if you're not earning an ADT, right? So then what you're gonna do is you're gonna press on the next option where it says transferring from a community college or four-year institution. After you press on that, you're gonna get a follow-up question saying how many college credits will you have earned when you enroll at the Cal State campus which you are applying to. This is why we let you know, make sure that you count that you have a minimum of 60 units, transferable units in order to apply. If you put less than 60 semester or quarter 90 units, it's not gonna really let you apply to anything because all the Cal States are asking for 60 or more units. So what you want to do is click on the second option on the bottom where it says greater than or equal to 60 semester or 90 quarter hours equivalent to junior or higher. So the majority of the Cal States only accept the upper division transfer students, meaning that they have earned more than 60 units at their community college. So again, you must complete 60 plus units prior to transfer, meaning if you're applying this spring, everything should have been done in the summer. If you're applying for the fall, the spring semester will be your last semester. And then we're continuing on with the profile. Again, this is just creating your profile. We haven't even gotten into like what information you need to put on there. So if you are a returning applicant, it says, are you applying to return to the Cal State campus which you previously attended and intend to complete the same degree? Again, community college is open to any type of student. So if you were a student who used to be at the Cal State, say for example, if you were in Cal State Long Beach and then you left Cal State Long Beach and came to Harbor and you're trying to apply again to Cal State Long Beach, you'll press yes on there. If you are not a returning student or if you've always been a student at Harbor College, you're going to put no on it. For the U.S. military status, again, make sure to read this very carefully. Sometimes we move our mouse and it changes our answer. So if you were part of the U.S. military status, you're going to click on any of these. If you are not a part of it, there is a section where it says, I believe it says that you're not part of it. So go ahead and click on that. For international applicants, it will let you know if you have a F1 visa with you to study at the Cal States. Again, go ahead and press yes and no. And fortunately, if you do have questions about that, Miss Natalie has been part of the international office, but also to let you know that we do have an international student office at LA Harbor College, if you are interested in talking to them as well. And then on here, again, on the website, you're going to end up seeing what we talked about, the little question mark, the bell, your CAS ID number. When you click on that little drop-down arrow, you're going to see the Help Center, My Profile, Extend Profile, and then Signing Out. And again, the little sign out button is also on the side. But again, you can look at these little drop-down menus and explore them when you start your application to see what you can change and what things you can go over before submitting the application. And then So how do you start your application? So after doing all of that generic information, just like your biography about yourself, you can go ahead and scroll through these windows and they'll have additional information of what the application is. And if you want to just start on the application, you're going to click on that blue button that says start your application, and it will take you to the new window. So selecting your programs. This is the part where you finally say, okay, I'm going to be applying to these schools, to these majors. So on here, it's important that you read everything that says on there, right? So then some of you might be like, oh, I'm applying to this program, but I don't see it. And the reason is why for the spring semester, some campuses might be open, but not all of their majors will be open. Only select majors will be open in the spring. For the fall, the majority of the Cal states will have all of their programs ready to apply for. So that's why if you see something, you're like, why is my major not included? Go ahead, read this over and click on the different resources that they do provide to better understand why that major is not on there. So how do you add your programs and majors? So on here on the campus side of it, you're going to click on it and it's going to bring a drop down menu of all the Cal states. And then you're going to, for example, click on Cal State Long Beach. And then for source, some of you know that your major will be on campus, but we know that right now we're online. And then there are programs that happen online. But again, you have to do your research before that. And again, make sure to ask questions or stop by during drop-in hours for the transfer counselors to ask those questions. On the start term, this one says fall, right? But for those who are applying in the spring, it should say spring. Once I put that on, it's going to bring a whole list of all the majors that Cal State Long Beach has to offer. Sometimes when you're going through that, you're going to get this window that says this program is not similar to your current ADT program. So for example, if I was earning an ADT in psychology, but I put my major is history, it's going to say, hey, I noticed you're getting a psychology degree, but you put history. So the system gets confused and says, why are you not pressing psychology? So make sure that you read over that announcement and see that information that's letting you know. If you're okay with making that decision of not applying as psychology, but applying as history, you can click on that box and say, I read the above statement and want to continue with my application. So then after that, you'll see the continue submission button turn blue, and then you'll be able to move on. So selecting an alternate major. Again, this window might pop up for some schools. So some schools might be like, hey, your major psychology is very popular. We're allowing you to choose a second major in case you don't get accepted with your first major. When students get this, they're like, why are you asking me that? Am I not admitted or anything like that? That's not the case. The case is that it is some programs or schools have very impacted majors, meaning that they don't have enough space for all the students who are applying. So what it's doing, it's preparing you in case that you still want to go to that campus. For example, if you want to go to Long Beach, you can say, okay, I don't mind being a sociology major at Long Beach because I still want to be at that campus. Again, making sure that you talk to a counselor or explore your options. The majors should be within the same realm because psychology uses some sociology classes and so forth. So again, you don't have to choose an alternate, but it is an extra option in case if you fell in love with that campus and want to go there. Feel free to choose an alternate major if it gives you the option. And then at the end, you get to review your selections. So this is not the final say. So say that you chose 4 and you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to make up my mind or I want to change them later on. You can do that. So this one is just reviewing and letting you know, hey, you selected Long Beach, the African Studies program, if you notice on the bottom. For Dominguez Hills, you also chose the African Studies, General African Studies. For Fullerton, American Studies, and for Cal State LA, African American Studies. So you're going to notice some of the majors sound the same, but for example, Dominguez Hills, it has a different name. Again, some of you might have majors that are called one thing at one campus, but at another campus will call it something else, right? So again, making sure that you're choosing the right major or looking at their websites to get that information. So then on here, don't be afraid about that $280 just yet. It hasn't taken into account the fee waiver or anything like that. You're gonna see these little green bars, and basically those green bars indicate how much information you have left to applying to that program. So for example, halfway, you've already done a lot of work by putting your general information, and you've got an ADT or anything else like that. And I believe, yeah, we go to the next one. So you're gonna get into your application dashboard, meaning that when you get on here, you're going to see finally the whole application as a whole. You're gonna be putting your personal information, academic history, supporting information, and your program materials. Again, on the very top, you're gonna see those tabs that say My Application, Add a Program, Submit Application, and Check Status, but we'll go over that information as well. So then on here, on this specific section, we're looking at, for example, if you chose Cal State Fullerton or Cal State Bakersfield, they have an extra section of questions that they want you to answer. Not every campus has this, but again, making sure that you look at every single module or little square and how much you've completed. For example, Cal State Fullerton, for their program, they ask you to indicate, like for example, the first question, did you complete the general education section in the academic information? So again, it's important that you put that you did all your golden 4, and on here you're gonna put, yes, I answered all 4 in the general questions, or no, I did not attend any US regional college or university. Again, we will help you through this, but again, reading through everything, the questions that they will ask you, and making sure that you're filling everything out. And then the last part around the personal information. So what you want to see is when you click on one of those, so on here on the left side, you're going to see that little square personal information. You're going to see the circle, you're going to see 0 out of 7 sections completed, and that's okay. They're going to fill up as you go. So for example, when you click on that square, it's going to open up this personal information section, and then you're going to see 7 different little tabs. So the first one will be like the release statement, biographic information, contact information, citizen information, everything we went on the beginning of the application, you're gonna see on here. Each section within the quadrant is a tile. You need to complete each tile so it's marked as finished. And then this section includes residency questions that'll affect your tuition if you're out of state or in state. So again, making sure, we had students who accidentally put that they were from out of state, and then when they get the fees, they're like, why is this happening, right? So again, making sure you're marking everything correctly. Other than that, we have finished going over all of the personal information section of it, and now we're gonna go into the information part about how to add classes and add other stuff as well. And I'll pass that over to Ms. Natalie.
Thank you so much, Patsy. I really appreciate you providing this information to our students. Students, I hope you're all doing great and finding this workshop very informational for you. I'm just trying to navigate through this, and I also want to give a huge shout out to everyone here today, whether you're here with us on Zoom or you're on Instagram Live with us. We appreciate all of you being here. We're also very grateful for your patience as you're asking questions on the Instagram Live and you're asking questions in the chat box. We will have a segment on questions once we are done with the live stream recording of the directions. Thank you again, Patsy. Excellent job with the thorough coverage. So moving forward in the personal information section, I'm going to be discussing the release statement. So each component of the release statement, you do want to check off. The first one means that you promise that everything that you're stating in your application is true. So you want to make sure you check that off, because that is also how they hold you accountable to make sure that you are not providing or withholding information, because that can affect your enrollment and application moving forward. Additionally, you want to agree to release contact information in the second checkbox, because that's you giving them authorization to give your email address to the CSU so they can start emailing you, asking for transcripts, next steps to transfer, supplemental application, things like that. And then the additional information box, please check that one off because they notify us, the CSU Apply, which of our students applied, so that way we can follow up with you all on the next steps to transfer. And read carefully also. The next section being biographical information. So as you can see, it's going to be asking questions related to your name, last name, suffix. So suffix as in junior, senior, alternate name. This is very common for students who might have had a different last name. Maybe they were married, of that nature. And you want to include especially names that were used on academic records for yourself. So that way, in case there's a discrepancy between one transcript having one last name and the other having a different, that way you're also covered there. Preferred name, if you have a preferred name, you can input that as well. Your legal sex, you can choose whatever you wish. Additionally, date of birth, including that, country, city, state, province, and county. So that's your birth information. Birth does not equate to citizenship or residency. Just put the answer that you have within your records. And then applicant information, they're gonna ask questions related to students being considered foster youth or former foster youth. And then your statewide ID at the very bottom here. As you can see, do not enter your social security number. Our students don't have a statewide ID. That's something that has not been implemented yet at Harbor College. We only have, regular student IDs. So that you can disregard. It's not a requirement. And then also, just to let you know, definitely you can consider authorizing the text messages. So that way the CalStates can contact you via text. Okay, and then the citizenship residency information section. So for students who are US citizens, fill out as such. If you are an AB 540 student, please select none here. From there, you're gonna do California residency. California residents are AB 540 students are considered residents in many cases. So you want to include, yes, that you are a resident regardless of citizenship. And that is so that way you do not have to be charged out-of-state tuition. That is, like Ms. Patsy already said, that is very costly. And we want you to be billed correctly so that way you do not have to stress out about that later on. Because like she said, if you input this incorrectly, oh, it is such a mess to fill out with the CalStates. You have to fill out so many forms and provide so much proof, and it's a very big hassle. So US citizen, either yes or none. California resident, most of our students are California residents. F1 visa holders are not citizens, nor are they California residents. They do have to pay out-of-state tuition fees along with F1 visa fees as well, and CBIS fees. The next section, other information, right? They're gonna ask for a social security number if you have one. This is optional, but you can include if you have one. Language proficiency, you can indicate English. Military dependent status, please answer that carefully. Academic conduct violations, probation, disqualification, suspension. So in some cases, our students do receive academic probation at Harbor College. My recommendation is that honesty is the best policy with university applications. And if you have been put on academic probation, they don't dismiss students from the application for ever having a history of academic probation at all. Like, that is unheard of, but you do want to be truthful and honest, okay? Because they are asking you directly. And you can also, like once you select yes, that you go on to, explain the circumstances and you just move forward with the application. But I haven't seen a student, be given a hard time over sharing that information honestly. And then teacher credential information. Most students will select not interested in a credential program. Unless you are, then you're welcome to select yes. CalFresh is a resource for our students to receive supplemental support for food. And this is like part of basic needs. So I normally encourage my students, if you feel comfortable, consider applying for it because, we're encouraging our students When I was a student, there was like the joke about the starving college student. That's what most college students, this like thing about us that, it's really hard. There's a lot of expenses. So the fact that students are able now to qualify for CalFresh, that could make a difference for a lot of students. And then the California Promise link, click on that to learn more. The RN license, most will answer no to this question. However, students who are in our nursing program that are getting ready to take their licensing exam, or they already have it, right, and they're applying to Cal States to finish their BSN, you'll select yes for that. And how did you hear about Cal State Apply? Just share how you heard about it. Hopefully it was through the Transfer Center. Next section, financial and parental information. So you want to include your household income and size, dependent or independent, covered in detail in the next 2 slides. Campus housing, if you're interested, it's a yes or no question, and parent guardian level of education. So as you can see here, there's this list of questions. It's a little bit small, but I hope you can read it okay. What it's asking is when you were born. So if you answer yes or no to these questions, you're independent and you'll be able to just provide your own financial information. If all these questions you answer no, then you're going to include your parents' information financially, okay? So the questions, if you were born before January 1st, 1997, if you're currently an active duty member or veteran of the U.S. Armed Forces, if you're married, you'll also put yes if you are separated but not divorced. And at the beginning of the 2020-2021 school year, you'll be working on a master's or doctoral program. That doesn't apply to students at Harbor, but that's another question. And then you have or will have children or dependents who will receive more than half of their support from you between July 1st, 2020 and June 30th, 2021. Answering yes to any of these questions, that means you are independent and you only put your information. The next one, oh, you're also independent if you can answer yes to any of the following questions. Someone other than your parent or step-parent have legal guardianship of you as determined by a court in your state of legal residence. Anytime since you turned 13, both of your parents were deceased, you were in foster care, or you were a dependent or ward of the court. And at any time on or after July 1st, 2019, did your high school, an emergency shelter, a transitional housing program, or homeless youth center determine that you were an unaccompanied youth or were self-reporting and at risk of being homeless. So in these cases, you're also considered independent. That's when I ask you, how do you classify yourself? You put independent or dependent. Okay, so information you will need to share. And this information isn't just for like data collection purposes. This is the data that they use to determine if you qualify for the fee waiver. So it's very important that you put everything accurately so that way you can for sure get that fee waiver. So independent is total of your house size this needs to be changed to 2019. Sorry guys. Number of dependent children living with you, adjusted gross income, untaxed income and benefits, total, and then the dependent students, you put your parents' information, right? Adjusted gross income, untaxed income, and household size for your parents. Okay, and then academic history. So in the academic history section, this part is also very important. The reason being is because everything that you input here does need to be correct. So we're gonna go over this as thoroughly as possible within the parameters of this workshop. So it asks for high schools attended, colleges attended, transcript entry, general education, that's golden 4 year, standardized tests, AP, CLEP, and IB, right? Once you have checkboxes for all of these, this circle is gonna turn completely green. So you're gonna enter all college coursework by term. You're gonna include non-transferable coursework. All transferable California Community College courses will be verified by assist.org, and your golden 4 will be initially determined by assist data, and applicants will be notified in January to log back into application to update your fall grades and winter and spring courses if you're applying in fall. If you're applying for spring admits, which a lot of students are, they'll notify you probably in September to include your summer grades. Some of you might already have your summer grades too. Okay, colleges attended. So you're gonna include Harbor College, the sister schools within LACCD, right? So if you had classes at Harbor, Southwest, Trade, and Pierce, you need to include all of those as separate schools, because if you're only including Harbor College because it's all on one transcript, there are going to be problems later on because articulation is determined campus by campus. So that's why we need you to input every campus individually that you attended. If you went to LBCC for one semester and got a W, you have to include that class from LBCC. Same thing goes for universities attended in the past. So the campus name will go right here. Are you planning on earning a degree? That's going to go there. If your degree is still in progress, you're going to notate that there. Or if you already got your degree, you put that. So then you put what degree it was, when will you earn that degree? That's your last semester that you're going to be taking classes for your major, okay? When the counselor petitions to graduate with you. You can add another degree if you're getting multiple. If you're getting an ADT, it's going to look like this, where you put degree in progress, Associate of Arts for Transfer, August 2020, Communication Studies, right? And that's how it looks. Okay, and then as you can see here, it does say, this is a special note because some of my students, they went to Cal States before they attended Harbor. It's very common. What happens is sometimes students, they will have, like, for example, if you went to Cal Poly Pomona in the past, they switched from quarter terms to semester terms. So some of my students were like, well, what do I put? Because you can only choose quarter or semester. Just put for whichever term you have the most of. So if you have 3 quarter terms and 1 semester term, then you're going to put that you did quarter units. If you've only gone to LACCD colleges or Harbor College only, right? I can speak on behalf of our campuses. We're all in the semester system, so you select semester. Additionally, it's going to ask you, when was your first semester at Harbor College or at the college that you select, right? You want to refer to your transcripts and put the correct information there, just because that's also what they're going to use to start you off in your transcript entry section. Your last semester, you're going to put that there. So if you only did 1 semester, let's say at Pierce College, so you just put from fall, August 2008 to fall, December 2008. Okay, and I hope that makes sense. And if you still go to that college, you just select this box here. Check this box if you're still attending. You hit save, and then you move forward. Okay, so the transcript entry section. So you need to put in your transcripts line by line. That's why it is so important to get a head start in accessing your transcript. So if you think that you took a class at one campus randomly, but you can't remember, you want to try to get into that portal. So LBCC, Viking portal, El Camino, ECC portal, right? Whatever you need to do, you need to get those records so that way you can include everything. Okay, and as you can see here, you go line by line with your transcript and you add your classes. So I'll use myself as a pretend example, right? So let's say in my first semester, I did English 101, Math 227, Com 101, and so on, right? First, you put in the name of the class. Sometimes this auto-populates on its own. English, 3 units. Let's say my first semester, I got a D in the class. I repeated it later and I got an A. So instead of putting the old D, I put RP there. I do still check it off as transferable though. Let's say in that same semester, I had a hard time with math and I got that class academically renewed. Originally, I got a D, right? So I don't put the old D, I put AR for academic renewal. You leave it as checked off, but yeah, you indicate that. And that is based off of, if you see academic renewal on your transcript, then you know you're good to go to put that there. If you see on your transcript underneath English 101, course repeated, units not calculated for GPA, then you know it's safe to put it in there. If you notice that that's not a notation on your transcript, but you feel like it's on there, it should be on there, it's an error, let the counselor know so that way we can help you do the paperwork with admissions and records. It's course repetition for GPA adjustment. So that way we can clean up that transcript and you're ready to go with the accurate transfer GPA for the Cal State application, UCs as well. And then of course, you're gonna put your grades for your other classes. If you got a W in a class, you do wanna include that as well, just because they wanna see everything. You want it to be a carbon copy of your transcript. If a class was non-transferable and you took it anyway, for example, English 28, right? It's not transferable, so you can put the grade still, but do not check the box off where it says transferable. Classes that you got a W, academic renewal, repeat, you still put the checkbox as transferable, and of course for your grades that you received, you include that as transferable. And then as you can see too, in future semesters, remember I did the RP for English 101? So then I include right here, English 101, I got an A and I mark it as transferable. And let's see here. So moving forward, AP and IB scores. So you're gonna enter your AP and IB scores under your first semester. So what that means is if you did AP classes and got 3s or higher in high school, when you go into your transcript, right, and you're doing them line by line, the first rows are gonna be all AP scores. So this is what it looks like here. So fall 2008 freshman, AP English language is the course code, course title, subject, we're just gonna put test credit there. 3 credits, right, for AP, 3, and then you put 0 here. You don't put the score 3, 4, 5. You just put CR for credit and check it off as transferable. Same thing goes for IB scores. You could put all of that and then make sure you go over it very carefully. I also suggest for my students to go to their College Board portal, access those scores and review them very carefully because AP English language is not the same thing as AP English literature. We want to make sure that you put the correct titles for those classes. Okay, and then the next one, honors courses. So our honors classes are transcript notated. So we want to make sure that you are including your honors classes on there. When it's an honors class, it'll normally say on the bottom, honors section underneath English 101, right? There is no way to put that little note other than typing in the name of the class and doing the H at the end. And that's how they know when they look at your actual transcripts, it'll say honors section underneath, okay? Next section, general education. Like I mentioned before, this section normally auto-populates with the information that you provided in your transcript through assist.org. But if for some reason it just doesn't look right, this is oral communication. Normally that's communication 101 at Harvard College. Written communication, normally English 101. Now we have English 101Y, English 101X, English 102. There's other classes you could take for critical thinking that includes English 103, Journalism 105, Philosophy 6, right? So there are other options, but you want to make sure that these correspond correctly with the green CSU GE sheet. And then area B, quantitative reasoning, math concepts as transfer math. So math 227, that's what you put. Now let's say I got a D in Com 101 on my first try, and I know I'm gonna take it in the winter all by itself so I can get a good grade and pass it. I am not gonna include that D here because these grades need to be C or higher, and that would not be good. So what I do instead is I include in the transcript entry that I'll put a future class, winter 2021, Com 101, and then I'll put that one here, the planned Com 101. Because this, when you drop them down, it shows every single class that you put in your transcript and you can hand select which one that you want to be included on this. I hope that makes sense. You can also put your AP scores. So let's say I got a 4 in AP English language, and we know that counts for written communication, then I'll put that here. Next section, academic history continued, right? Standardized tests are ACT, GMAT, GRE, GRE subject, IELTS. A lot of my international students do IELTS and TOEFL. You add the score, you can click, I'm not adding scores there. AP scores, those get input here. CLEP is very uncommon, but if you have the scores and you like to share them, you put them here. Same goes for IB. Please note, any scores that you share with this application, more than likely the university will want you to also send those scores to the campus. So AP scores, for example, just note that you will be mailing those scores from your College Board portal to the campuses. Okay, and then the next thing, supporting information. So you want to include in this section, if you indicated that you're earning an ADT, you're gonna see this populate. If you did not say that you're earning an ADT, this box will not appear for you, but that should be a red flag if you don't see the ADT box and you remember inputting on there that you're getting an ADT. The way that you update it, you just go to your supplemental application and then you re-include the ADT that you're gonna be earning. And then the next one is the EOP application. So the ADT applicants will see the corresponding tile in the supporting information quadrant. If you do not see the ADT tile, like I said before, go into the supplemental application and add the ADT. And you do not have to apply to EOP. If you want to apply to it, I definitely encourage you to do so just because it's a really good program. And then all of a sudden, tile 1 and then 2 and then 3 will appear if you say yes, that you want to apply for EOP. Okay, the next section, supporting information. So supporting information is going to ask you about your ADT. It'll say right here, Harbor College. If it's psychology, you put psychology there. I'm sure I have some psychology majors listening right now. Most popular major, one of our most popular majors. Campus ID goes here. California Community College ID, you could leave that alone because we do not issue those to our students. And then if your last semester is in June 2021, that's what you put. If you're graduating this August, you put August 2020, and so on. Okay, so EOP. If you're currently in EOP, you definitely need to apply, okay? So you put yes if you are. Do you wish to apply to EOP? Either you put yes or yes, I will return later to complete, or no. Okay, so this section, a little bit of a lot of huge like ball of text, but we'll go over it together. So when you do your EOP application, you can choose to complete it now or later. You need to verify that the campus, they have their certain deadlines of when they want their EOP applications in, so you could check those with this link here. I'll put it in the chat. Well, actually, it's not going to let me right now, but I can do it after. And then the campuses that are accepting EOP transfer applicants, pretty much all of them except for the following: Channel Islands, Dominguez, and Stanislaus. So if you're interested in those 3 schools, you're not applying anywhere else, you don't need to do an EOP application because you're applying to the 3 schools that do not accept EOP. If you're applying to a mix of everything, Dominguez is one, but you're applying to Cal State LA and Long Beach, still do that EOP application because Long Beach and LA could accept you for EOP, you never know. And then 5 campuses require EOP applications due by November 30th. That includes Chico, Fresno, LA, Sacramento, and San Bernardino. So make sure that you do those in time. And you need to complete all required questions on tile to save them. Okay, next section, the EOP recommendation request. You need to have 2 recommenders from an individual who can comment on your potential to succeed in college. You can ask your counselor, your teacher, someone in your community, employer. Don't ask your relatives. They actually don't want students doing that. So just don't do that. And then you put their name, information. Do you see where it says personal message to your recommender? So right here, if you can do the biggest favor to your recommender, thank you so much. This is my phone number and this is my email address. Please contact me if you have questions, because it helps them later on. Like if they're like, oh my gosh, I have so many students and I can't put a face to this student. That's where you put this information about yourself here so they can reach out to you. Okay, I waive my right to access this recommendation. That means you don't care to read the recommendation after. Put yes or no. I hereby give permission to contact this recommender via email, permission for schools to contact recommender, right? Okay, and then at the very end, the cost. Check my fee waiver status right here. This tells you if you're gonna qualify for a fee waiver or not. If you're doing 3 applications, 70 times 3 is $210, but if you get that fee waiver, you'll get 404, okay? It is determined by the information that you put in the application in the parental or independent section. And then your payment is going to be with either the waiver, you don't have to put any payment. But if you need to make the payment, then you either use e-check, PayPal, credit card. And mistakes to avoid, last but not least, using the back arrow before completing and saving a section, incorrect biographical information, name, birth date, citizenship, address, do not do that. And then really quickly, just to remind you guys, this is the CSU application to apply to Cal States, right? And then not reading or responding to the emails that the Cal States send to you. Check your email all the time, okay? And of course, the mistake that you don't want to do is not having the Transfer Center look at your Cal State application. So make sure you do that. We appreciate you being here with us. You're welcome to ask us questions. For Instagram Live, we're going to be ending the live session, but you're welcome to send us a direct message with your questions. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Take care on Instagram. We appreciate you being here with us, and we will be in touch. And then my Transfer Center students, we can go ahead and